Keeping up with our motto, let learning be a joy and teaching a pleasure. Here we are with a remote teaching and learning process to bridge the gap. Happy learning, students.
Dear student, today we are going to see chapter number 1, Basic Concept in Geometry, Practice Set 1.3, Part 5. Let's start. What are conditional statements or if-then form statements? The statements which can be written in the if-then form are called conditional statements. We will try to understand conditional statement with the help of example. Here we have statement, if the diagonals of a quadrilateral are congruent, then it is a rectangle. You can see that this statement contains two words, if and then. Okay, therefore this statement is called as if-then form statements. It is also be known as conditional statement. Why? Because there is a condition in this statement. What is a condition? If the diagonals are equal of a quadrilateral, then only the quadrilateral is rectangle. The part of the statement following if is called the antecedent. You can look at the example, right? You can see that the part of the statement which follow the word if is the diagonals of a quadrilateral are congruent. This part is known as antecedent of the given statement. The part of the statement following then is called the consequent. Look at the example. You can see the underlined statement, it is a rectangle. This underlined statement is a part of the given statement, and this part is known as consequent of the given statement. Right? You can see the first underlined part of the statement, that is a antecedent, and the second part of statement which is underlined is known as consequent of the statement. Converse of conditional statement. Converse means opposite of the conditional statement. So what is the converse of conditional statements? If the antecedent and consequent in a given conditional statement are interchanged, the resulting statement is called the converse of the given statement. Now we will try to understand converse of conditional statement with the help of example. So we will take one statement. If the diagonals of quadrilateral are congruent, then it is a rectangle. Okay, it is a conditional statement, right? Or you can say it is a if-then form statement. Now we need to write the converse of this conditional statement. Right? To get the converse of conditional statement, what we will do? We will interchange antecedent and consequent of this statement. So what is the antecedent in this? The diagonals of a quadrilateral are congruent. That is the antecedent of the statement. And what is the consequent? It is a rectangle. So what we are going to do? We are going to interchange the diagonals of quadrilateral are congruent with it is a rectangle, right? So we will write now converse. So I am going to shift the diagonals of quadrilateral are congruent after then, and whatever is there after then, that is it is a rectangle, we will shift it at the place of the diagonals of quadrilateral are congruent. So what I am going to do, I am interchanging those two parts of the statement. If you will interchange, you will get a new statement. What we will get? If the quadrilateral is a rectangle, then its diagonals are congruent, right? So I have interchanged over here antecedent and consequent of the given conditional statement. So I got a new statement, and that new statement is called as converse of conditional statements. Now we will see practice set 1.3. Question number 1. Write the following statement in if-then form. The first question in this is, the opposite angles of parallelogram are congruent. Now we have to write if-then form of the statement. Now you can see that this statement has one helping verb, that is are, A-R-E, right? Whatever is there after the word are, that is consequent. What is there after are? Congruent. So congruent will be the consequent of the statement. Consequent means the part which follow the word then. Okay, so what is congruent in this statement? Opposite angles are congruent. So the opposite angles are congruent is consequent of this statement that we will write after the word then. So what is left now other than this? Parallelogram. So parallelogram is antecedent of this statement, means this will follow the word if. So let's see here. If a quadrilateral is a parallelogram, then it is opposite, then its opposite angles are congruent. Correct? Now we have the question number 2. The diagonals of a rectangle are congruent. So after the helping verb are, there is a word congruent. So that congruent is consequent. That will come after the word then. So what are congruent in this? Diagonals are congruent. So the diagonals are congruent will be consequent, that we will write after the word then. So what is left other than this? Rectangle. That is antecedent. That will come after the word if. So if a quadrilateral is rectangle, then the diagonals are congruent. Now here we have question number 3. In an isosceles triangle, the segment joining the vertex and the midpoint of the base is perpendicular to the base. You can see that this statement also contains one helping verb, that is. So whatever is there after the word is consequent. So perpendicular to the base is consequent. But what is the perpendicular in this? The segment joining the vertex and the midpoint of the base is perpendicular to the base. That would be the consequent. So what is left? Isosceles triangle, that is antecedent, that will follow the word if. So if a triangle is an isosceles triangle, then the segment joining the vertex and the midpoint of the base is perpendicular to the base.